Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? Well, we're just about to get into the last day of the year. Um, yeah, this is right before, this is still December 30th, 2022 necessarily, but tomorrow is the actual day. It's going to be the day before. Well, yeah, I don't know how it works. Yeah. Anyway, um, so I'm going to talk about something a little different in this video. Another side to me, another side to my life that maybe I haven't talked about as much. And you guys can let me know what you think. Comments below. It's been a good day. Started out kind of rough, but it's gotten better. At the end of the day, if you just work hard and you try to be a good person, things have a way of working out. They do. But you still might go through, you do a hockey stick, you still might go through some really, really hard things. I'm not saying you won't. And there's a lot of stupid comparisons. Whenever we as adults still are prone to make comparisons with other people in various ways, it's fine if we say, oh, I want to be as good as this person or that person in this one area. But we first have to, sometimes it's not very clear that they're actually better than us in that one area, but other times it's pretty clear. And there's a question of how to get there. And it always involves working at stuff, right? Anyway, more. And that's just, you know, anyway, I'm just looking back at my life, how everything has been. And of course, it was always a growing experience for my parents, as well as myself. There were a lot of things that were very different for me compared to a lot of folks out there, in the United States at least. The point, the frame of reference I'm talking about is, I grew up upper middle class in the United States, in the West. That was where I grew up. Um, you know, everything before college was easy. The hardest things I had to deal with were bullies, as well as, there's probably some other things. But it was mainly bullies because for the most part, schoolwork was a breeze. It's just the way public schools are structured. They were pretty darn easy. Yeah. If you fast forward in my life to college and what transpired at that point, colleges are kind of set up to really kind of be, at least I would guess this is the way in the United States, but probably get this kind of some of these traditions from Britain, Europe in general. Colleges are extremely slow to change, extremely resistant to change. It's not quite as they're not quite as amazing of places as maybe when I first thought of colleges. And I know that there's been a lot of things about colleges that have been increasingly not looking so great in recent times. Yeah, referring to the you know what I'm talking about. It's all the stupid woke stuff. It's all the gobbledygook being taught in social sciences and all that stuff. It's ridiculous and stupid and a waste of it's just a waste of money. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of it just doesn't help anybody. It's all just a bunch of food fraud nonsense. But I could have, I mean, there's so many different things I could have done. But no, I knew I was going to be going into music. Funny thing is, I didn't go into composition because composition programs, by and large, in most every college were avant-garde training. They weren't film scoring. It wasn't tonal music. It was atonal music that I was being trained in college. You have to go to a film scoring program, or you have to go to a songwriting program. You have to go to study with an instructor who teaches tonal classical composition, which you might or might not get college credit for. I don't know, depending on what was going on, but that's the way that composition is. You might have schools here and there that are starting up you have jazz composition, you have a lot of different kinds of composition, but let's face it, for the most part, it's avant-garde classical music in colleges. If you're getting a degree or whatever, then there's the jazz stuff, and then there's Berklee College Music, which does rock music, rock popular composition programs and stuff, and then they have the film scoring programs. There's several of those, at least, and probably more than that. And then there's I don't think there's I don't know. There's other kinds of composition programs. I'm sure there are, but I'm not really aware of them. Anyway, it's kind of something that I didn't know about when I was starting out in college. And looking at the professors I had and the classes I took, and it's kind of a big impersonal mess. And college serves people well that are kind of like the majority of people. They think like the majority of people in regards to, okay, wake up, you do your normal thing, go do your normal whatever. It's just you have your job, you have your whatever, you have all these things in your life. But you're very, more organized, and you're more, this has got to be done right now, super organized. This is done right now, always looking super organized. That's the kind of person that seems to excel more in college. Not always, but that's, I've never really, you have to really kind of try to be more that way if you're going to be more involved with academia. I think it doesn't, it helps that someone's very intelligent, very well read, but all the eccentric behaviors of scientists, inventors, and composers and artists and playwrights and things that does not really mesh well with college, because it's just there's a conflict of time and energy. Creative thinking is a very different kind of thing than getting work done and seeing that you get stuff done by a certain date. It's just two different ways of thinking entirely. Many of us many people have some skill in both ways of thinking. The problem is and this has always been the case in my life. If I'm doing anything creative, especially if it's composition, but it could be other things, it's very difficult to transition out of that creative mindset to something that's more work-oriented. Now, the professors that knew me better wanted me to not have to struggle with these transitions. So whenever I did, whenever I done anything freelance freelance kind of work. It's creative. It's pretty ideal for me, but it does not help at all with having benefits. And so it's kind of when you realize that professors are giving their best guess, but it's still not just a guess. There's a lot to it, but it's not set in stone regarding what they think you're going to be best cut out for. But there's still something to it, right? It's psychology and stuff. But it takes a while to get there. They have to observe how you do in classes and things, and you can't. It's like you can't have all this happening when you're younger for some reason. No. The elementary and secondary schooling you go through, it seems completely different. There's a kind of not a lot of communication going on between that level of instruction and then upper, college level instruction. It's not like, we don't live in it. I didn't live in the way I grew up. It wasn't like this farm town where you have the same teacher throughout your whole life, and you go to the college nearby and the teacher knows the other teacher that there. No, it wasn't like that at all for me. But it is that way for some. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, there is the train of thought I've had about professors that seem to favor the organized folks more. And I have been feeling kind of defiant recently. I have been feeling kind of angry about a few things and whatever. But it's kind of like, I guess the train of thought I have is something like kind of like this. If somebody has something to say to me, they should say it. That's always the way it is. Now, whether or not I'm going to respond angrily or not, that's a different matter entirely. But if somebody does have something to say to me, they should say it to me. If they don't say it to me, it's usually because of, there's a lot of reasons, but it could be fear. It could be they don't want to ruffle my feathers. It could be avoiding conflicts. It could be something I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. There's all kinds of reasons why people will go behind my back. Behind all kinds of reasons why there's all kinds of reasons why people gossip, right? I'm sorry, it's just late. I'm tired. I'm losing my train of thought here. So talking about okay. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. So when professors don't really train you for the things that you want to do, and then they seem to favor those folks that are doing more what they did, you kind of go, what the heck, man? What's wrong with this picture? Well, it's hard to find people that are doing exactly what I want to do. It's been hard, so I have to kind of make my own road sometimes, in some respects. Seek out for myself who would be the best person to teach me whatever that I still need to learn, if I ever go that route. And this envy I have of my peers in college getting praised by professors or whatever is stupid. I'll fully admit that, but it comes from a place of, well, geez, man, life has been hard enough as it is without having benefits, and some other things too. Self-employment issues, taxes. I mean, what gives? Some of my professors have been nothing but critical, but it's kind of because it depends on the professor. Some professors are that way because they've been taught that that's the best way to be. Other professors are more supportive, but I guess there's a limit to which they will. I feel like it's a time limit, or there's a knowledge limit. They're only aware of so many things. It's like, every professor has their skills and their specialties, and when you're going too far out of that, then you have to go to somebody else. So you can't fault the professor. So professors will praise people left and right that they feel like, yeah, good job, or whatever. And I realized I just should let them do it. But who's in my corner? Who's cheering me on? Who's saying, hey, you should talk to this person for this reason? I mean, it happens. But regarding composition, who's actually in my corner? Not too many people. Not too many at all, because I was always disenchanted with the avant-garde to some extent. I mean, I tried it over and over again. I studied with a few different folks. It was always on the side. It was never my major. And so, I mean, I was always dealing with these issues of what to major in anyway. It was never clear to me where to go, who to study with, at all. It was just different. It was everything was different for me. I mean, I do mean everything. Social things were different for me. All this stuff was so unlike life before college. It was so utterly unlike life before college. Everything before college was so, I could expect this person to do this thing, on this time of this day. Or I could expect this behavior from these people or that, whoever. And when it was all over, it was all over. And many of us experience elementary, secondary school, K through 12, all the way through. If we drop out, we drop out, whatever. But we know what it's like. And other schools and other nations, particularly if they're very long days, you get in that rut. That's your whole life. And then when your life changes, it's a big deal. It's always a big deal, I don't know. My parents did their best. They're still doing their best to whatever extent they can. But it's kind of like there's the question I have, I guess, of is somebody keeping is there some kind of tally of who gets the brownie points from professors praising students? And this is still one of the things that bothers me back at academia. It's this whole flattery thing. It's this whole pride thing. It's this whole patting people on the back kind of thing. It's just, unless it's sincere praise for someone's whatever, it's just a bunch of. But no, I've been praised before by even the most critical professors. I got to tell you that it's not what as cut and dry as I've never gotten praise before. Yeah, I've actually gotten good feedback. Like, it was positive feedback by even some of the meanest, toughest, hardest professors I've ever had. When I did a good job on something. But it was only when I did I did a good job on something. Only then. But it's happened. It was extremely meaningful. It meant the world to me. And I suppose that, students are very sensitive and hungry for that kind of feedback. I've never been the kind of teacher, by the way, to be particularly blunt about someone's real skill level as I perceive it. Because, I realize that you can kind of get a ballpark idea of how good someone is, but you can never really pinpoint it. Not really. But you can get really close. Anyway, there is no tallying of compliments. There is no competition to see who can get the most compliments from professors in colleges. It's all just this big smokescreen. It's all this big show in that way. If it had the whole congratulations and honors and summa cum laude and all this stuff, it's all just a bunch of whatever. The only things that ever mattered in college was me improving my skill level in different areas. That was it. I mean, other than social stuff and whatever else, but I mean, what are employers going to employ me for? It's my skills in different areas, right? So it's kind of like, um, so you increasingly see what professors can really gauge well. It's what their you see what their best areas are skill wise. You take what they say sometimes with a grain of salt, depending on what they're saying and how they're saying it, and just what their background is. You know that some people are going to be a certain way, and other people are going to be another way, and there's the personalities too, and you know, it's like, but yeah, I mean, I've always on some level been critical of professors, of course. It seems like college is the time to be critical because when you're in public school, you're kind of okay. Always respect the teacher. Always, da, 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 da. No disruption. No disruptions. No disruptions in the classroom, kind of thing, right? In college, you know, you don't want to be disruptive, but there's a lot more questioning depending on the nature of the class. I don't know. There's still a kind of decorum you need to follow. You just want to be respectful of other people and stuff, of course. But it's just a very familiar feeling to me, basically, to feel like I've been um, misunderstood, for one. Um, I haven't maybe learned from the very best. Maybe I missed out. But I don't really regret it because I've accomplished a lot. I've grown a lot as a person, as a musician, as a teacher, and whatever, composer, performer, everything. As long as you're making progress, that's what matters. Especially if you're doing well character-wise, But you're loyal to friends and your family and stuff. Um, so it's like because praise was often not coming my way, or when it did, it meant the world. And when praise comes from your peers, it also is great. But it's hard because they feel competitive to you on some level, and they deal with that too. And when we're kind of trained in colleges to, in a way, um, to not have conflicts with our fellow musicians, which will inevitably happen, um, that are often kind of based on our feeling of competitiveness with them. It's just bound to happen. But we're trained to kind of, yeah, that was good. Or, that was good, but it could be this way, maybe a little better, or whatever. And we kind of hear them out and we go, okay, all right, there's something to that. Or we go, I don't agree with that. But we try to keep it to ourselves. We try to be respectful, as much as we can. It's not easy. And it doesn't matter if it's college or if it's professional world or whatever. It's never easy to be impeccable in terms of how we interact with our peers and others as well. But it's I was always impressed with people that had a great deal of poise and a great deal of a great way about them, I guess. It's the best way of putting it. But it's just it is what it is. It's not like the best thing in the world. Um, And there are things about having Asperger's syndrome that will always mean that I'm never going to be as eloquent or as suave in how I say things as some folks. It's just not going to happen. I've had to work at it. Um, it can be, I suppose, but it's never going to be quite the same. So just to kind of touch on some things before I wrap this video up. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is kind of a big illusion. Let's think about this for a second here, and then just talking about colleges in general. Other than the skills you learn and whatever certificates you get that are required to do whatever, other than the skills and the certificates, I mean, what actually happens or what actually occurs in colleges? It's a lot of indoctrination, especially in the social sciences and the arts and humanities and things. You don't really have indoctrination in science, you'd think, but yes, you do. There's indoctrination going on all the time. You're actually paying to be indoctrinated into some way of thinking. If we actually give that sort of thought, we'd be a lot more critical of professors, and we would not allow that kind of thing to happen to the extent that it does happen. But yes, there's indoctrination going on. Professors often want to, they want to indoctrinate. Not that it's more that it's kind of like, hey, listen to me, see how convincing I am. I'm having these students that are my proteges or whatever. And it could be any kind of, it could be on many subjects that are like that. Unfortunately, well, it's the way that you think that there are times when you have students that are remarkably similar to professors, but what often happens is, well, you still get differences. You can never have clones of the professors. But the reason why professors want to do that in the first place is that it matters a great deal to them that their ideas and their legacy is preserved, right? Because that's their life's work. A lot of times is teaching in college and stuff, along with their books and stuff. I don't know, whatever the research, whatever they're doing. It makes sense to me why that happens, but it's just there's a place for it, and it's often exaggerated. It depends on the major. It depends on. It's just that theories and philosophies are never as practical and never as useful as. Well, there you go. Like actually learning how to build a car, or just that kind of stuff. More practical skills, even in music. It's learning how to conduct, learning how to perform better, learning how to compose. These are skills that can be very much in demand. Transcribe music for people, notation skills, whatever. So I just think, there's a lot of, just like in politics, you would think that education is more noble than politics. And it is, but it can get very political. So I really try to steer clear of, anytime you see a lot of patting of backs, so to speak. Anytime you hear about congratulations on, just stuff it up your butt, You don't say that to the person who congratulates you about something, but it's just a bunch of, it's like vanity. It doesn't mean anything. It never means anything. It's always about improvement, actually improving in some area of life, in some skills. That's what matters. That's what it's all about. That's what life's all about. And we have different levels, we have different colors, we have different awards, and we have different. It doesn't matter. I mean, you want to still kind of be able to distinguish sometimes about what someone's accomplished in some quantitative way, but it doesn't really. That's not why we do what we do. It's the process. It's the struggle. That's what matters. And the learning process. Anyway, leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you later. Take care. Bye.